You're not testing your day trading strategies, which is why you suck. You're losing money every single day and you just can't get a payout. Is that you? Is that you? Are you trading every single day without testing at all? Huh? Well, luckily for you, I'm gonna break it down in this video. My name is Forrest. I invest in stuff. I'm a day trader. I invest in all types of stuff, have a long-term portfolio. I got this jacket on because I bought it in Japan and I live in Miami, and I'll never get to wear it again unless I wear it in this video. I guess I could like wear it when I travel again, but it's super dope. The Japanese guy who I bought it from was like ecstatic that I bought it, which is cool, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. We're going to talk about backtesting. Why is backtesting so important? Is it complicated? Is it a mystery science? I do this very, very simply, guys. I think that trading is simple, right? So I'm an auction market theory trader. There's not a silver bullet strategy to this. Okay, if you're in my Discord, you know that it requires a ton of discretion and waiting patiently for setups, as well as understanding and reading the volume profile in real time. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I backtest, because this is how I actually do it, using the strategies that I talk about all the time, right? Specifically looking for sweeps of key liquidity targets. Sweeps specifically, right? Not retests, not double tops, but a push through of a liquidity target, which means that we're getting everybody, or what I like to call the last man, the last trapped person. Okay, if you're new to these concepts, touch on all of them briefly. I'm not going to go in depth on all of them. Watch some of my other videos. Otherwise, this video will literally be 3 hours long, and I could talk for 3 hours, but I really don't want to. I have a bunch of other stuff I got to do today. Yeah, super excited for 2025. Investing heavily in the studio, obviously. Got a lot of cool stuff here. Maybe it's not obvious, I don't know. I should do an updated studio tour video. I really should do that. I don't know why I didn't think about that till now. We have a ton of gear in here now, like 3 sets built out. It's just for my own personal YouTube, sharing day trading. I have my channel called The Macro on personal finance. So if you want to understand how to take your profits, invest in them long term, I know we're going off base here, guys, but bear with me. All this stuff matters, okay? Long-term investing, you got to take your profits, put them long term. Check out The Macro Show with Forrest. I interview people. I have a portfolio. I started from $0. It's almost up to 8K now. I'm just investing that $50 every single day. Very simple, straightforward series. I think it's super important. I also think it's super relatable. Day trading, not as relatable. Not everybody wants to be a day trader. I think everybody wants to have financial freedom, financial security, and safety. I think is super important. So I'm working on that as well. Just a more grounded series. So check that out. Of course, if you're trying to get a prop account, use one of my links. I do get a nice little kickback. Thanks. It helps for all the time that I put into these videos. Let's backtest. Okay, so we're going to use ES. I'll drop a link to my chart layout. It doesn't really matter too much. But before we just start jumping into it, let me define backtesting, right? And I'll just write this out on the chart. Okay. Backtesting is simple. Backtesting is simply seeing if a strategy that you think will work did work. Okay, now I didn't get that out of a textbook. I literally just thought of it right now. This is how I test data. So when you're trading, it's what people call forward testing, right? You have a hypothesis about how the market should work or some setup, and you'll trade that. Backtesting, you can basically just use, the data that's already there and test it. Backtesting is a little bit different than forward testing though, right? Sol described it. Sol's my partner in Discord, pretty aptly when he says, when you backtest, you're always looking at the candle closures, right? Which is very different than when you're trading live, because there's all of the intra-candle volatility, right? So even if you're trading on the 1 hour, we're actually seeing the price update every single tick, right? So we're watching ticks, even if we are trading these higher time frames. And that's where most people fail psychologically, right? Is in real time, you're not as patient, like if you're trading on the daily, you're backtesting, or in this case, we're going to trade on the 1 hour backtesting, okay? Now, what I like to do is I like to eliminate bias. So I'm going to go pretty far back. I'm going to go back let's just go to the beginning of October, actually, which is right around September 26th, October 1st. Okay, we'll just do an option V for a vertical line there. Get rid of these indicators for now, not too important. And I want to see if my simple sweeps strategy is going to work. What is that? So this is something that I'm not gatekeeping. This is how I actually trade, guys. There's a lot of complexity to this, but there's 4 key levels, which are like the first, there's like step 0 for me to even look to see if there's a trade. Okay. Right. And there's 4 levels that I care about, right? Which is the previous day high and low. Okay. We'll say the overnight high and low, and the opening range high and low. Now, I certainly did not invent the importance of these levels. I'm not going to take credit for that. I'm not really going to take credit for anything, guys. The only thing I'm going to take credit for is my execution, honestly. It's the layering and the execution of these concepts that's important. I'll say that again. The layering and order of operations of the concepts, which is important for you as a trader. Okay, so what do I do in my system? Trading volume profile See, there's no volume profile on the chart right now. I'm looking first at these key levels to even decide if I want to do analysis. Say that again. I'm looking at these key levels to decide if I even want to do some analysis, right? There are some other key levels that I'll put in here as well, right? So the fourth one will be the POC, and we'll say VAL, VAH. But POC, VAL, and VAH are less important for sweeps than these other key levels, right? POC, VAL, and VAH tend to be my exit targets, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Cool, so let's mark up our chart. We're gonna start on the first, okay? So if we wanna start here, I need to mark up my key levels. Okay, so the first thing that I wanna do is I wanna replay back to 8 a.m. on the 1 hour, okay? And I wanna look at the previous day high, which looks right about here. We'll do an option J, previous day low, option J there, overnight low, looks to be right about here. And we have confluence with previous day high and overnight high. So let's say confluence, overnight high, and previous day high, right? Some abbreviations there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to forward test this chart. Now, what I wanna actually do, now I'll show you something really cool that you can do with this. I'm on the ES on the 1 hour. I've got the 15 over here. We're gonna go to a 2 chart, and we're gonna change this to the 5, okay? Now, what I can do here is you'll see that this is also in replay mode at the same time as this. Okay, let me get rid of this line. I'm not sure why that's there. I can replay on the 5 minute and watch my 1 hour candles form. Why do I do this? I like to do this when I'm replay trading. So there's 2 ways that you can do backtesting. You can just print 1 hour candles and take the trade. What's gonna happen though, when you just take the trade on the 1 hour is it is going to skip through any drawdown that you're in. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean, hopefully. This is an arbitrary time frame. I didn't plan this, so I'm actually just back testing, and we're gonna see what happens. I probably should have planned a little bit more, but I think it's more valuable if it's real. Let me see if I can match up my grid lines here with the actual time. So that's 8, that's 9, cool. So I'm gonna print a candle, and again, once we sweep one of these levels, let me actually get my visible range volume profile, session volume profile. All right, we'll get rid of the visible range. There's nothing there. Once we sweep one of these levels, I'll care. Okay, we cracked overnight low, okay? And we have the previous day low down here. Now, I still need to wait for the candle to close. Okay, so 1 hour candle close with a kind of higher volume bottom wick. Now, here's the question here. We swept what key level? We swept the overnight low. We have a very high volume opening candle. This is the opening 1 hour candle though, so it overlaps from 9 to 10. Market opens at 9:30 for anybody who's confused. Is this a good signal on the 1 hour? Not really. We do have a bottom wick. If I was going to long here, I would long to the POC. This doesn't really fit my playbook, right? I would want a green candle, stopping candle at the bottom of this, but let's just take this trade at this price to see what happens, okay? Let's assume that I want to go to this point of control as a profit target. I'm going to run this long here, right? Let's see how it plays out. Boom, I'm immediately in drawdown. And you can see how playing this out on the 5 lets you feel the drawdown. This is why I do it this way. So if you don't include another time frame when you're using replay, it's just going to go 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. And if you're green or red, it's going to get rid of all this in between time, which can be good or bad depending on what your goals are. When I back test, I like to experience the drawdown. I like to see the numbers go up and down, because when I'm trading, it's even slower. It's not the exact same emotional pain, but I want that emotional pain. So obviously that trade didn't work out, right? You can see the loss gets updated down there. Cool. So let's go ahead and see if we can get a good signal candle, right? So another 1 hour prints. We have a high volume doji at the lows. A better signal, we swept the previous day low as well. So this might be a long that I would take. It's still a B trade though. It's not green. So let's test this out, right? Let's see if this eventually gets us into the green. Get there, another candle. So we had a double doji, green at the lows. Not surprising. So we went high volume red, green on the 1 hour, green on the 1 hour. This is probably going to pop up a little bit now. And if I had to choose a key level, it's probably going to be either 5,800, or we could get this previous day POC here right at 57.86. Let's see what we get. Previous day POC 57.86. You can see it's getting pretty close to my entry. It dipped red again. I don't like that. It's retesting into these bottom wicks. Okay, that's the end of the session. We're in the overnight now. 2,300 EU. So it's really just ranging. Comes all the way lower to the bottom of these candles. So I would have been stopped probably around, somewhere at the POC if this was a real trade. right? So that's an example of how you can back test. Now, so let's review this, whatever this trade was here. So I took a long at 57, what was it? 53.75, right? Based off of this 1 hour close. So you can see that it went green pretty significantly here up to 57.84. What's at 57.84? Okay, what is in this area where I could have taken profits and I just didn't? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this trade. I'm going to close this trade, and I'm not going to just skip ahead and forget about this, right? Because I'm back testing. I want to learn something about what happened. So I'm going to use the select bar, and we're going to go back. We're going to go back again. So you see my P&L updated? Okay, so what did I figure out? Well, this was probably too early of an entry, right? I saw another green print. So, okay, let's see if we can get in on a better entry this time. Okay, so this was a 1 hour doji, green doji, right? Lower volume there going forward. And, I skipped too far ahead because my time frames are messed up. All right, redo. Redo. What is up with my grid lines here? What do we have? That's 10:30. I need to set these to be every hour. Okay, there we go. That's what I want to do. Okay, so we have the 1 hour doji. That's the close. Okay, that's at 12. So this is an actual candle showing after we had steep red, that there's a change in bias and price. It is a little bit lower volume in this case, but still a good signal candle. Let's see what the other time frames look like. On the 2 hour, we have a nice big bottom wick, high volume candle there. So this is a better long opportunity. So I'll take a buy here. Okay, now what did I learn previously? Right, once we get into this node, let's not just look at the price that is the POC. Let's actually look at the shape of this previous day node. You can see that there's a little, where's my arrow tool? There's a little dip right here, right? A little dip right here in this previous day POC. So I'm going to use that for my TP. So we'll do an option J, okay? And I want to take profits here. So I'm trading from one key level, right? We swept a low, taking along after the sweep to this next key level, which is the node on the bottom of the point of control. Okay, we have a change in bias on the 1 hour. We have a high volume bottom wick on the 2 hour. There's not going to be a 4 hour there yet, but let's see what happens. And once we get to 57.83, that's where I'm going to take profit. So let's see if we can get up to 57.83, put it on that chart as well. So it goes into drawdown pretty significantly, right? Almost to the bottom of this candle. So I would need my stop down there, and it gets up. We would hit our TP. Okay, so in this trade in particular, and it doesn't really matter what the trades are, there's a few things that I would, pull out of this. One, is this a trade I even want to take in the first place? Probably not, okay? So the goal of this, guys, wasn't for me to show you necessarily any particularly real trade. We could go, and what I really want to see is I would prefer that this candle is green or this candle is high volume. As soon as we see a low volume change in bias here, we see that there's the subsequent chop, okay? The point here, the point of this video is to show you guys how to back test. The point here is that you need to go forward and back and learn something about the price action. So this would be a sweep that I would categorize as lower quality, right? And it's one of the things that we talk about in the Discord. Once we get to the end of the session, right? So we close this trade. Okay, I want to do this again. So let's get to the end of the session. 1500. We want to get to 1600. Okay, which is right around here. So the day is over. I want to get rid of all of my lines. Okay. I've taken some notes. I've journaled, right? I do my journaling in Notion. Let me go a little bit further, right? 1600. So the day is closed. I want to mark up my levels again. Okay. So let's look at the previous day low, which is down here, option J, previous day high up there. And then we don't have the overnight high or low yet. So let's go ahead and we're not going to trade the overnight in this case. We're just going to go to 8 a.m. So we'll let these 1 hours print. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And we've got 9 a.m. coming up over here. All right. So we get to 9 a.m. What is our overnight high? Well, actually, this was the previous day high right there. Overnight high right there. And overnight low very, very close. So just quickly looking at these levels, there's not a very big range here between overnight high and the previous day low. It's not a massive range. The actual space is 50 points. So when I'm back testing, I can still ask myself again, is this even a session that I would want to trade, right? Maybe I can make a binary session, yes or no, as to whether I'm even going to trade this session, or I can take some levels off the table. These inside levels are pretty close. So maybe I'll just eliminate those, okay? Right? I'm not even going to use either of those as a signal. I really want to see a deep run, and really this prior day high might be the only level that I really care about. But we'll let it play out, see what happens, okay? All right, we swept the previous day low. Let's see if we get a signal candle there. So we had a very high volume bottom wick, 1 hour after sweeping the low, but it's a red candle, okay? It's an opening candle, it's a red candle. I would have to decide if I want to long off of this price, which is in this consecutive chop, aiming for the next target. Personally, not an A trade for me, so I'm not going to take it, right? Cranks up, hits very high, so ranging, very rangy. See if we ever get to that prior day high. Get through the session, comes down, it retests that low. Okay, it's a weak session overall. Okay, we can see the session ended, got into overnight now, and we're back up to the next day. So I would just keep doing this over and over, looking for A setups and adjusting. Okay, so you could take the B setups like it did, you could take the C setups, right? And you want to keep refining your checklist. So I have a video where I did on setting up a playbook, and the way that I arrive at the playbook, which is pretty strict, right? Your actual playbook plays end up being pretty strict, is after you do this, right? You're going to try out a bunch of lower quality trades, guys. And this will allow you to just put the reps in over and over and over again. And you can actually see what ends up being worth taking, okay? I've done this over a ton of different time frames, over large periods of times. There are automated ways to do this. I don't do any automated back testing, really. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. You don't really need to do that. I'm telling you, just use the replay tool, trade the markets, employ some strategies, stick to them, and see how well they work. See how you have to adjust. Notice how price reacts and the actual drawdown that you would be in. I think experiencing that drawdown is really, really important, especially if you're going to trade off of different types of signals, right? Because that's what you would experience in real life, right? You could see that that one trade worked out green, but not after being red, and ended up being like a one-to-one risk reward. You know, I don't really trade RR, but the actual risk on that trade was essentially to the bottom of that 1 hour candle, okay? These are things that are going to help you in real time when you're forward testing, when you're in winning trades that might have reasonable expected drawdown, right? What's another option that you could do? Force. Do I need to have drawdown on my trades? There's a very obvious thing that you could do here, which is no. We know, is something we talk about on NQ and ES as well, that these long wicks get retested. So instead of longing the close of the 1 hour, put a buy limit, like in that example, at the 50 fib, or just halfway, say 50 fib, halfway at the wick, or 60% or 70%, whatever you think the retest is. And you're gonna come up with about 60 to 85% looking at ES and NQ. I'll tell you that right now, right? It's a nice target to get in onto a trade and minimize your drawdown. And you can find that stuff in minutes. It takes literally minutes of back testing, and you'll figure out how to optimize your trade. So use this, employ this in your trading strategy. Make sure you test, take notes on this. If you miss a session, if you haven't journaled a session, there's no reason to not go back and retrade that session. All the tools are available to you. And if you're not going to invest the time to do that and discover what you missed and what you can do to get better, then you won't get better. You'll be stuck exactly where you are now, with the same psychology issues, same P&L issues. And that's just a fact, guys. I've talked to enough traders to know that that is the case. Trading is really, really hard. And despite all of the stuff here on YouTube, silver bullets, none of them work. Right? It takes discretion. It takes having a system, a framework for thinking that you're still applying discretionarily, right? The market conditions can change, the economy changes, the VIX changes. Okay, it's probably the most simple change that gets people. We go from high VIX to low VIX environments, and people are hunting for 30-point trades on days that are only 12 points. Okay, it's very simple things that can change that you're just not aware of because you're not looking. So look. Subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos. If you're looking for a Discord home, check us out at Trade Edge. Also, our next coaching cohort starts on the 10th. So this video, by the time you see this video, will be like the last chance to set up some times. I'll include a link to set up a calendar invite to get interviewed if you want to join the coaching. It's group coaching with weekly one-on-ones. It's a 6-week program. We review your trades, teach you everything we know, stuff like that. Super cool. Check it out. And yeah, see you in the next video. Peace.